Hi, welcome to Living in Columbus in Central Ohio. Today, we're going to take you inside of a near and dear to my heart nonprofit called Honor Flight Columbus. We're going to learn more about the veterans, the volunteers, the staff, and the mission. Let's go inside. Beth, thank you so much for having us here today. Tell us about you and Honor Flight Columbus.
My name is Beth Johnson, Executive Director of Honor Flight Columbus. Honor Flight Columbus is the organization who flies senior veterans to Washington, D.C. for them to experience the memorials built in their honor. We've been around since 2007, and we are coming up on Mission 150, and we will have served 11,000 veterans as of April 15th. So we're so excited for Mission 150 in just 2 weeks.
Mission 150 and 11,000 veterans just in Central Ohio.
Just in Central Ohio, yep.
That is amazing.
That is amazing.
So take us back. You said 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Take us back to 2007. How did Honor Flight as an organization begin and then get here to Columbus?
Yeah, so in 2005, the World War II Memorial opened up in DC. At that time, a physician assistant at the VA named Earl Morris was asking his World War II patients, "Are you going to get to visit the memorials and the memorial?" And they were like, "No, can't financially get there, can't physically get there, so no, I'm not going." Well, it was put on his heart to do something about that, and he is has his pilot license, so he got with his Aero Club to say, "Okay, we need to get these heroes to see their memorials. Who's in?" So May 21st, 2005 was the very first honor flight. 16 Cessna airplanes took over World War II veterans, and they toured the memorial. When they got back, there was much demand, and so he, started doing more flights. But then a dry cleaning executive business owner in Hendersonville, North Carolina, Jeff Miller, caught wind and kind of started chartering jet services to take more. So Earl Morris started Honor Flight. Jeff Miller started Honor Air, and then in 2006, they combined their efforts to become the Honor Flight Network. And so 2007, Bill and Bobby Richards from Upper Arlington, Ohio, kind of got involved with Earl and got involved with the network, and that's how Honor Flight Columbus began. So we were the first hub in the network in 2007. They started a hub in their house in Upper Arlington, and then we have just grown leaps and bounds from their efforts in the beginning to where we are now. It's pretty amazing. The organization has changed a little bit here and there. We've structured things different, but the skeleton of the organization of honor, share, and celebrating our senior veterans has never changed since 2007.
Had chills thinking 16 airplanes taking the veterans.
Little
to
Cessna
DC.
airplanes, yeah, just little four-seaters. Just it's pretty. It's pretty amazing. There is a video on CBS. I think it's CBS Morning did a like a news piece on that, and it's like old footage and of the May 21st, 2005 video. It's just so cool to look back and see, like, oh my gosh, that's literally the beginning of this amazing organization.
That is phenomenal. Now, you mentioned Bobby and Bill, 2007.
Uh-huh.
Bring it here to Columbus. Can I tell you a little fun?
I would love to hear this.
So, my first introduction to Honor Flight Columbus was when my youngest son was in Cub Scouts. And you know how they come out in droves, right?
Yeah.
At the airport. So we were in Cub Scouts, and we would line up and we'd hold the signs and all of that. And very quickly, I think it was lining up for one welcome home, and we were in. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
We were supporting this flat out.
Oh, yeah.
Became guardians and other things. But that being said, we would come to the mornings before flight day would start. And my son, who was all of 5, he's now a Navy corpsman, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
And a local first responder. He would show up with his autograph book, and he would take it around to the different veterans, and he would have them autograph it. But before they would autograph it, they would ask him for a picture. So he would draw them. He would find out what branch they were in, and he would draw a plane, or he would draw a boat, or what have you.
Oh my gosh.
And give them a picture, and then they would give him an autograph.
That's amazing.
Isn't that special?
Oh.
And then Bobby and Bill loved how much passion he and some of his friends had for the organization. And he actually held a lemonade stand one summer with a friend, Ben, and they raised $500 and presented body and bill.
Oh my gosh, I
with the
bet
check.
they were over the moon with
Yeah.
that. Oh, how
Yeah,
sweet.
wasn't that fun? So
So
taking
sweet.
them from being, I think, social studies teachers,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, in order to, and now promoting this to what we have today.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Incredible,
It's
incredible.
amazing.
That being said, I was actually going to transition. I didn't even think about this at this point, but going from my son making that donation,
Uh-huh.
I wanted to let you know that this year for 2026, I've decided with our real estate business, every one of our transactions, we're going to donate to Honor Flight Columbus. So I will be giving you today a check for some transactions this year.
Oh,
And
that's
we're going to start out with $500 for the beginning of the year. And we'll continue to do this quarterly.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. So 150 flights on this
Yes.
next one.
Yes. Mission 150.
Wow.
I know.
So talk to us. What does it mean when you say a mission?
So each flight we call mission. So back in the very first one back in 2007 was mission 1. And each mission, has a number so that when you see a veteran out and about with their veteran shirt on, you can say, "Hey, what mission number were you?" And I just saw somebody the other day that was mission 101, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're getting ready to do 150." That shows you how many like we've done since your flight. It allows the veterans to remember their flight. Like they're sometimes like, "Oh, I don't remember. It was in 2019." And but they wear their shirts out in public, and that is the way for the public to say, "Thank you for your service," and, "Hey, when was your flight?" And that's what I love whenever I see them out and about with their shirts on. It's a great conversation starter.
So flight 150,
Mhm.
all the ones you've had and the ones after that. What does flight day look like from the get-go when your volunteers show up? What happens?
Control chaos is what happens. Truly, truly, truly. It is, the guardians show up at 5:30. The veterans, we tell them to get there by 6. But when myself and my husband, who brings me with all the stuff, we get there at like 4:30, quarter to 5. There's veterans already there. So we tell them to come on in before 6. So we head up to the airplane about 6:15, get loaded. We're in the air by 7 to land at 8. And then we're just off and running all day long. So we load 3 buses with our DC Trails chartered buses. We then go to all of the branch memorials, all the war memorials. Breakfast on the plane, lunch is at Navy, dinner is at the Women's Memorial in Arlington. We also get to see a changing of the guard at Arlington. And then we come back to Reagan National, load the plane, head back home. We leave at 8 to arrive about 9:15 for the grand welcome home celebration. The welcome home that our Vietnam veterans never received 60 plus years ago. So,
We're going to come back to that.
oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in
Oh
a
yeah.
second. I've already got the chills. I'm not ready to cry yet on this one. Let's go back to those veterans.
Yeah.
I want to find out, how do they get selected?
Yeah.
How do you choose them? How many are on a flight?
Yeah.
And then we'll get into, what does the flight mean to them?
Yeah.
What the day mean to them?
So we get our veterans. The best way to get our veterans is the veterans who have flown. So we tell them on the plane after we get home, and I use my closing remarks to say, "You've taken this trip. Now it's your turn to get a veteran on the flight." So our biggest PR is our veterans who have flown. Social media is really great. Family members get to see what we're doing and say, "Oh my gosh, Dad, you got to do this," or, "Oh my gosh, my uncle would be need to get him on." And then we're out and about in the community. So we have informational tables that have, our applications, our info cards, to have the general public help us find our senior veterans. So we don't really do a nomination per se. A lot of times somebody will call and say, "I want to surprise my dad with this trip." Well, I would love for you to surprise your dad, but the problem is when we call your dad, he's like, "I didn't sign up for this." It's a scam. So I always say, well, why don't you surprise your dad by filling out the application, but he's going to need to sign it so that he knows when we call, it's not a scam. And but it's just the public awareness, the veterans who have flown. It is the info tables. If you see us out and about, stop by, grab an application. Everybody knows a senior veteran in their life, either it being a family member, a church member, your neighbor, a friend of a friend of a friend. I always say when you're out in public and you see a veteran with a hat on that says he's Army or he's Vietnam or he's Korea, stop, say thank you for your service, and have you taken your honor flight is a great conversation starter. A lot of times they're like, oh my gosh, I took mine back in 2019. It was the best day of my life. Or a lot of people are like, honor flight, what's that? Which seems crazy to me to think we're almost 20 years old and still people don't know who we are.
So, how do they find out who you are? How do they locate you
Yeah.
online?
So honorflightcmh.org. People are always like, what's CMH? CMH is the call letter for the airport. So it's honorflightcmh.org, or just Google Honor Flight Columbus. We'll pull right up. On our website, you just click veteran application and it pulls it up, print it out, mail it in with a copy of your DD-214, and you're on the waiting list. Right now, we don't have a long wait list. We have maybe less than 400 on our wait list, and we'll fly all of those in the fall. So yeah, so we fly 10 times a year, 5 in the spring, 5 in the fall, and we take 75 to 80 veterans a trip. So like 800 veterans, 750 to 800 a year. So we just need to continually find those veterans to get them flying to sustain our 10 flights a year. So
And what is considered a vet? I mean, we know what a
yeah.
veteran is. Is there a particular age or a war or service time
It
frame?
is our eligibility right now is you just need to be 65 and over.
Wow.
Plain and simple.
So if you're not already scheduled for a flight in
Uh-huh.
2026 in the fall, at this point in time, somebody's watching, it could be a spring 2027 flight.
Yeah.
That's not far away.
That's not far away. No. Yeah. So we have a seasonal wait list. So like you fly in the spring, you're gonna fly in the fall and spring. So we make it not long at all.
Fantastic. Beth, when those veterans get on that plane, what do they experience when they're at their memorial, the camaraderie with others, and who's with them, by the way?
Yeah, so we have guardians who volunteer their time to be with the veterans, and then they're literally the guardian is their support for the day. It's their travel buddy, it's their photographer, it's their conversational. I mean, they are the support. A lot of times, especially our Vietnam veterans, are just very apprehensive of sometimes going to the wall. I have found when I was a guardian, there's so many times that the veterans are like, I don't know, I don't think I can do this. Well, when they see 74 other veterans coming alongside of them, come on, brother, let's go and come down to the wall, because I call the wall a healing wall, because there's so much pent up anger, sadness. The one that gets me all the time is guilt. Like they go in front of this wall, they find their buddy, and it's years and years and years of all of that coming out. So we have seen changes in the veterans from the time we get them in the morning till the time we get them home. It's this big burly man of, "Rah, rah, rah." And then we get to the wall, he's like, I'm not going to cry. And then these big, fronted men are confronted with the names and takes them back 60 years. And they're a puddle of emotions. And it's like a weight has been lifted from 50, 60 years ago. And they're changed. And we get them home. We get phone calls and emails and conversations all the time of, what did you do to my husband? Or what did you do to my dad? He never talked about his war service, and now he won't stop talking. And that is the mission of Honor Flight Columbus, is honor, share, and celebrate. So we do honor and we celebrate so great. It's the share component of the veterans sharing their stories with their guardian, with the general public, with the other veterans around them. Once they start sharing their stories, it's the greatest thing. Plus, then they are sharing their stories for the benefit of future generations so that we can record them. We have a great partnership with the National Veterans Memorial and Museum to record their stories, and their stories are being uploaded into the Library of Congress so that they're being preserved and they're in stone now. You never want somebody to hold on to their story and take it to the grave, because we need to know these stories so that we can continue to learn from our senior veterans.
The living history book.
It is a living history.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It is.
So when you said they look at the wall, I know that I've had veterans, I've been a guardian, I don't
Mhm.
know, 6, 7, 8,
Uh-huh.
something like that. Uh, I've had veterans both from World War II and Vietnam. And when they're in front of that wall, the wall of stars,
Uh-huh. The Wall of Stars at World War II is so powerful. It's like 4,032 stars, and each star represents, I think it's like 100? No,
no, that was,
a
you said
1,000. Yeah, a
1,000, yeah.
1,000. Yeah, I should know this number. I'm so sorry. But yeah, it represents, each star represents like 1,000 veterans who died in World War II. And just to stand there and see it, knowing that each star represents a certain number is powerful.
And I've had them, like you said, they start off and they're very quiet and they're very stoic at
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of the flight, but that's where the shoulders
Yep.
drop.
Yep.
That's where the silence
Yep.
begins, and then the floodgates of
Yep.
honking open. The stars are for a different folks' name.
Yeah.
Somebody that they served alongside,
Yeah.
somebody that they went to high school with,
It's
a family
powerful.
member.
It's powerful. Just this last trip, last on March 25th was our mission 149. We helped a gentleman find a name on the wall. We etched it, and once he had it in his hand, I said, "Can I just take a picture?" Because I always like to take the picture with their names. And I said, "So tell me about him," you know. And as soon as I said that, he just got very emotional and said, "Well, I only knew him 2 weeks." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "I carried him out of the jungle." And that just, everybody around us were like, wow. It's, a lot of times they're finding people they served with. A lot of times they're finding their hometown heroes of the high school quarterback or their neighbor or their, uncles or their, uh, so many times. That's the first time I've heard of
Yeah.
that situation. And
We're
so it's a powerful. It's so powerful.
we're sitting in your offices in Columbus, Ohio. People watching this around the world um, might be in their homes. They're
Uh-huh.
watching YouTube or social media, whatever the case may be.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about Honor Flight Columbus is
Mhm.
taking these folks
Mhm.
back decades upon decades
Yep.
to jungles and areas of the world
Mhm.
that any of us watching today can't even imagine.
No. No, that's a powerful part of our mission is to be able to bring healing, to be able to bring some sort of peace within the madness of, a war 60 years ago. It's truly, truly amazing what one simple trip can do.
Yeah.
It changes lives. It changes lives of our veterans all the time, but it changes those that are, just the volunteers or the staff or our board or our, hundreds and hundreds of volunteers. It is life changing for everybody. They're in pairs. So every guardian has two veterans, at least two. Sometimes it's a 1-to-1. Sometimes, we book 80 veterans with the hope that 75 go. And sometimes we get a lot of cancellations. So therefore, like this last trip, we had maybe 7 or 8 guardians only have one vet, which is still fine because then they'll just get it with another group and pal around. But so yeah, it's most of the time, um, the other veteran, the pair don't know each other. But then there's sometimes that there's travel buddies that they get to, you know, experience with a friend, or we get a lot of times where veterans who have served together way back in the Vietnam War, like they still know each other and they go on the trip together, which is it's so cool to see that. But a lot of, family like brothers go. This last trip we had two husband wives, both, and one was, they met each other in the Marine Corps, the other one met in the Air Force. So cool. And then we had last trip too, we had two um uncle nephew combination.
Oh.
So that's neat. It's a neat little combination there.
I had a couple of seasons ago, so I think it was fall, maybe 2 years ago, I had brothers,
Oh,
and oh my goodness,
it's
was
so
that
much
a
fun.
hilarious
It's so
day.
much fun. So
Yeah.
much fun.
The ribbing amongst each other
Uh-huh.
because one was Army and one was Marines,
Oh
and
yeah.
why that worked out that way
That's so
was
funny.
hilarious.
It's so fun. That's
Yeah,
so fun.
yeah. So talk about then they at the after they go to their memorials, one thing I think is really special is that we do experience when you're on a flight the women's memorial.
Uh-huh. It is so that's really cool too. Every trip we have at least 1 or 2 females. This last trip we had 5. I think the most we had at one time is 7. Well, actually, let me back up. In 2016, the whole entire flight was all female, which was amazing. I was not a part of that flight. I really wish I would have been, but, um, so yeah, we do go to the Women in Military they changed the name. It's Women's Military Memorial. It used to be Women in Military Memorial for America or something. It's like
A
really long.
mouthful.
Yeah, so now it's just the Women's Memorial. So we go there for dinner, and so we're able to have our female veterans see their memorial. They get presented with a profile of their service, and we enter them into the system, so they're members of the memorial, which is always really neat too.
And it's also at the perfect time where if you go to the top of the memorial, you can watch the sunset.
Yeah. Anyway, actually don't do that anymore because
Ah.
I know it's so it because whenever we go, it gets really dusky and the lighting up there is
Be
really not
safe.
yeah.
Sure, sure.
But when we do get to go up, it is remarkable.
Now it is there at Arlington
Yes, it's
Cemetery.
at the base of as soon as you come into Arlington, it's right there as you're pulling in right below Arlington House. So it's a really neat experience for them.
And while at Arlington, you said that the everybody who's involved is going to be attending a changing of the guard.
Changing the guard, which is so powerful. I've seen it, 60, 70 times, but every time it's so powerful. And it's really neat because our wheelchair veterans get to be in the press pit. So they get an up close and personal view of the changing of the guard, which is so remarkable. And if you ask the veterans, they do get asked when they come off the plane and through the welcome home, they get interviewed by our MC. Oftentimes they say the changing of the guard was the best experience that they've had for the day, "Hey, what was your favorite thing?" Changing the guard is 9 times out of 10 the answer that they get.
When we're talking about being at Arlington,
Mhm.
one thing that really strikes my mind when I've been there with our veterans is all of the other people that are there because it's not just honor flight.
No. There's oftentimes in the spring, this I keep going back to this last trip, but this last trip it was actually the 100th anniversary of the Sentinel, so they had a big celebration, and it was Medal of Honor Day, which was another big celebration. So we were kind of bookmarked in between. Yeah, they were bookmarked, and we came in just a ton of people, and so to be able to see school groups and just general public who know that it's an honor flight and that they get to celebrate our veterans too. It is really kind of cool too. We have made it to where several trips we have come across Central Ohio high school or middle schools. So one time we were there, and the Upper Arlington Middle School was there. Madison Christian has been there when we've been there, and to see, oh my gosh, we're from Columbus. We're from Columbus. It's kind of cool for those kids to interact with our vets, and the veterans just love it.
Yeah, the kids are there for a
8th grade
live
trip, yeah,
history lesson,
yeah,
right? This is the most live and real history
yes,
lesson that they can
exactly,
get.
exactly, yeah,
Absolutely, that's amazing. So the veterans are met not only at the memorials
uh huh,
when they get off of the airplane, as well. They're
yeah.
greeted, right?
Yeah, so when we land at Reagan National, most of the time our gate agent at Southwest will say, "Hey, gate A2, here comes an honor flight." And so they'll get people who are just general public waiting for their flight to come over and clap as our veterans get on and get off the plane and come into the terminal. And that's so because we all know that's not what they got when they came home from Vietnam. So that's the first real kind of, "Oh, this is kinda cool," Like, so many times the veterans are like, "That was really cool." I'm like, "Just you wait.
And this is just
Wait,
the
and
tip.
there's more." Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to see just the general public out and about in the city. We'll have families who are on vacation or just people just walk in the mall, just stop and say hello and thank you for your service, and so, so, so sweet.
And that's
So
the easiest and best thing to say, right?
yeah,
Thank you for your
yeah.
service.
Yeah, thank you for your service, and especially for our Vietnam veterans is welcome home. Those are the 2 phrases that mean a lot.
What was the welcome home for them before?
Nothing. You know, we hear often, many times of, I got spat on, I got stuff thrown at me, I've got, you flew from Vietnam, you landed in California, and you had a loved one waiting for you with street clothes so that you can go in and change. But the problem is, at that time, the haircut gave you away, and people still ridiculed you as you came off, which, to hear those stories just breaks my heart because, Honor Flight is here to right the wrongs of many years ago. Unfortunately, we can't erase history, but we can make it known that this is how you treat a veteran. This is how you treat a military service member, not what happened 60 plus years ago.
So we're giving them a welcome home. You are with Honor Flight. So once they actually get back home,
Uh
do
huh.
we tell the secret? Is that okay to say on here?
Yeah.
Okay, tell the
Yeah.
secret. What does that welcome home look like
Oh,
today?
the welcome home is the welcome home they never received, and we tell folks, "Just come to the airport." You don't need to know a veteran on the flight to come to the welcome home. We can get up to 1,500 to 2,000 people packed into the ticketing level of John Glenn International. Come, bring banners, bring balloons, bring flags, bring your celebration of welcoming home 70 plus veterans home from their honor flight, which is every single welcome home is just as emotional as the next one for me. You hear the bagpipes, you hear the drums, you hear this, the celebrations. And what I love is everybody stays put until the very last veteran comes through, which is, it's just amazing. It's truly, truly amazing.
Beth, I want to talk about the folks that are going. And oftentimes, I know as a guardian, I have heard, and you have to have heard it countless times, that people either feel like they cannot go,
Mhm.
either due to some physical mobility
Uh-huh.
issues, or because maybe they didn't feel like their service was worthy of going.
Oh, yes, we
So,
hear that all the time. So let me touch on the medical part first. We have a fabulous medical team who provides any and all services that need, So as you're hearing about Honor Flight and you're thinking, oh, my grandpa can't do that because XYZ. Like I always say, don't let your senior veterans Parkinson's or his Alzheimer's or his mobility or her mobility be the hindrance of them not going. Call and talk to our office. I've been doing this since 2017, and probably I can count on one hand the many times that we've had to say no to a veteran. So there are so many. I mean, I always say we take the healthiest of healthiest to the sickest of sick. So one is, we had a hospice patient kind of check out of hospice for the day and was able, we worked with their doctor, our lead medical, helped. And then that veteran passed away 8 days later. So, we can take multiple of medical needs. Just don't assume that they're too fragile to go. But if they are too fragile to go, we do have an Honor Flight at Home program where we kind of gear that towards the nursing homes, the hospice centers, those that are homebound that can't go or won't go. There's a lot of veterans that are like, I'm not getting on a plane, and so those guys and gals still need to be honored. So we have an Honor Flight at Home program. We have one June 6th in Marion. And then we have another one in Columbus. Just now in the process of booking and getting the dates involved, but always honorflightcmh.org. Look for, our at home program because, we all know that there's veterans that can't go and those veterans still need to be honored also. But then we do get a lot of, oh, I'm not worthy. I'll tell you a story. The first time I was in the office, like 2019, I started as an office staff. Got a phone call like, "Hey, tell me about this honor flight." I did my spiel and just told them all about it. Oh, that's not for me. And I was like, "Oh, can I ask why that's not for you?" Oh, I just served in a warehouse in Kentucky. And I was like, well, if you didn't do your job in Kentucky, the front line couldn't do their job. You just got the luck of the draw to be stateside. It's
incredible.
it's every single person who is in the military is worthy. Every single person who served needs this trip. It's not just, you don't have to have served front lines. You don't have to have served out of country, stateside, in country, you know, in Europe. You deserve to go.
Every job is important and
Exactly.
it's cyclical. They all impact each other.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a lot about the veterans,
Uh-huh.
um, but Honor Flight as an organization relies on the volunteers.
Oh my goodness. Our core of volunteers, we have about 15 different areas, anywhere from in office flight prep, which is making the name tags, stuffing the bags, all the way up to our ground crew, which comes, at 4 o'clock in the morning on flight day and stays until almost midnight on flight return, getting everything up and running. We could not do what we do without our veteran call team, our wheelchair wrangler, don't wheelchair maintenance team, our outreach team, our mail call team. I mean, it is a huge, huge effort to get these flights up and running. And if we didn't have them, there's no way. We have an office staff of 3 right now. There's no way we could do anything without our volunteers.
11,000 veterans have been served, and you have an office staff of 3.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
How many, if somebody wants to be
Yeah.
a volunteer, again, tell us where
Yeah,
do they go?
iflightcmh.org.
Yeah.
I will tell you last year, 2025, we had 14,000 volunteer hours that got, you know, calculated
Amazing.
and it's 14,000 hours. It's just amazing to, we've got such a dedicated team right behind, helping us produce these amazing trips.
Do you have to be a veteran to volunteer?
Absolutely not. Yes, absolutely not. So, the one of the best ways, that's how I became involved, is I heard about Honor Flight. I was in Washington, D.C. with my 8th grader, my middle son, who is now almost 30. I came across, probably looking back, I think there had to have been 2, 3, 4 hubs at the World War II Memorial. Was like, "What in the world is this? I need to know more." Came home, Googled Honor Flight Columbus, or Honor Flight found Columbus's hub, got in with Bill and Bobby and just said, "Oh my gosh, I need to be a part of this." And just started as a volunteer, as ground crew. And then a year later said, "Oh, I need to know what this Guardian thing is all about." Went on one trip and that's all she wrote. Like one trip, like you just said too with your son, one welcome home, one in office, coming into the office to help, one wheelchair maintenance. I mean, just one time you serve, you're just hooked.
Every job counts.
Every job, just like the military,
Yes,
every job counts. Every
absolutely.
job. Yeah.
Beth, we've definitely unfolded a lot and probably tugged at some heartstrings out there. Can you help those who are watching today know how can our community help Honor Flight
Oh,
Columbus?
absolutely. So, of course, money is always, we often get, "Oh, do you get any government funding?" No, we are not government funded. We are a nonprofit. So, any and all donations given to the organization just puts veterans on planes. So, we do have sponsorships. Every flight costs $100,000, and we're taking 10 flights this year. So, yes, but we are very, very blessed with all of the flights in 2026 have been sponsored. So we're so blessed with our amazing organizations who come right alongside of us to help um, you know pay for these flights. What we desperately need is our help from our community to find, locate, and get our veterans on an honor flight. So, like we had said before, is if you see a veteran, ask them, "Have you been on an honor flight?" And if they haven't, help them find us to get them on this flight. So, volunteering, yes, we need volunteers. Donors, absolutely. But if we don't have the veterans to fly, we don't have an organization. So I always say there's 3 buckets of Honor Flight Columbus. It's the funding, it's the volunteers, it's the veterans. And right now, to be honest, all of our buckets are full, and it's amazing. But the one that we cannot let go dry is our veterans. So
Mhm.
if you have a veteran in your life, encourage them to sign up. So many times we hear, "Oh, and I want to go. Oh, and I want to go." And finally they go and they're like, "Why did I wait so long?" It's our veterans. Once they fly, they are our biggest cheerleaders. They're out there finding the veterans. Many times we have an info table at the VA in Columbus, and so many times people stop to say, "Oh my gosh, I went on," and then there's a veteran standing there like, "I don't know," and they get on them being like, "You need to go, you need to go." So a lot of our veterans who are signing up are from other veterans, and yeah,
And once they've gone, they become part of the family.
absolutely,
Yeah, I have
absolutely.
been to many of the local 4th of July or
Uh-huh.
Veteran Day, Memorial Day parades, and just seeing them in. There was a guy, Bob, and oh my goodness, he was in so many parades every year. And I just know the smile that it brought to my
Uh-huh.
face to see Bob. But
Yep.
they, the veterans who are on the flights, are your poster.
Yes.
The
Yes.
poster
And I
to do it
say,
again.
wear your shirts. You guys are the walking billboards of Honor Flight Columbus. When you wear your shirts out in public, people first off recognize you as a veteran and they say thank you for your service, but then you can tell them about Honor Flight.
Yeah. Speaking of wearing the shirts, I do know that you do offer merchandise for sale. So if
We
somebody is not
do.
only supporting financially,
Uh-huh.
individual donors,
Uh-huh.
large corporations, what
Yep.
have you, but you also can support by wearing the sweatshirts, the hats,
Exactly.
buttons.
Exactly. Just give us a call here. We don't have an online store, but we'll sell you a sweatshirt over the phone easily enough. So,
Absolutely. It's fantastic. Beth, let's dive into some fun memories for you
oh
because you're
goodness.
hitting several years.
Yeah.
You have been, are you almost 10 years? I think you said.
27, well, 2016 was my first flight, October or April of 2016. So yeah,
We are
coming
10
up. Oh
years.
my gosh,
Okay, so this
crazy.
is gonna be hard to, like, narrow down here.
Yeah.
But in your 10 years, whether it's as a guardian, a volunteer, or a staff
Uh-huh.
member, what are some of your most memorable, maybe funny and heart-tugging memories?
Wow. So I know I had the first father-son pairing. So dad was World War II, son was Vietnam. That was a special, special flight for me. And I knew the family from it was uh, a school family. So my kids went to a private school and it was their, uncle and granddad. So that was really fun. Um, One of the most heartwarming and heart tugging was April of 2018. I had a veteran who was very, very apprehensive of going to the wall. His wife, who was also a guardian, said, he's tried many times to go and he can't, but he says, "Now is the time to go." And I was like, I am so honored to be with him. We're gonna do this." Well, at that time, we had everybody, when you call your veteran, you ask, "Is there somebody you want to find on the wall?" Well, this time, he wanted to find 11 of his service members. So Easter Sunday, 1969, their platoon came under attack. 14 platoon mates, 11 passed away. So we were able to find on the wall all 11 clustered together because if you didn't know, the wall is not alphabetized. It's alphabetized by date of casualty. So if you had a platoon of 11 that passed away, they're all clustered together. So I had gotten him down there. We found it. He spent so much time in that cluster right there. I have a picture of him bookmarking his guys. And that to watch him be so emotional and then to see all of the pain, all of the anger, all of the guilt kind of just wash away. He now leads Vietnam veteran tours to the wall with his VVA.
Wow.
And, here he was so hesitant to go. He went, he found the 11, spent time with them, and now he's leading tours back to the wall. He's been back at least half a dozen times since 2018.
That's incredible. He had his service in Vietnam.
Uh-huh.
You all served him to
Yep.
release that guilt,
And now he's serving
and
others.
he's
Yeah.
back to serving again.
Yeah. It's like we said before, it is life changing. Life changing.
I think that's taken us full circle. Can you remind me what is the motto?
Yeah, so the mission and purpose of Honor Flight Columbus is to honor, to share, and to celebrate. We honor our senior veterans by taking them on this free one day trip They share their stories for the benefit of future generations, and then we get to celebrate them before, during, and after their flight. So honor, share, celebrate is what Honor Flight Columbus is all about.
Beth, thank you so much for helping us to honor, share, and celebrate all of our veterans, as well as our local communities for supporting Honor Flight Columbus today. Appreciate you.
You're so
Thank you.
welcome.
I'm Chrissy Hagan with Living in Columbus in Central Ohio. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, go check out honorflightcmh.org. Join, donate, and come be part of the mission.